Alright guys, Changli is finally here in game, and in today's video, I'm pretty much going to give you guys a guide on how to use this character, best team comps, best weapons, how many copies do you need on her in order for her to work, and so many more. So let's not waste any time and let's go ahead and hop right into the video. Now, when it comes to the gameplay of this character, it is absolutely insane. The way that you want to use Changli, it is very simple. All you have to do is use her resonance skill, and when you use her resonance skill, you want to use the basic attack immediately because you're going to get a true sight stack. You guys can see it on top of her health bar. There are 4 stacks in total. And once you reach 4 stacks, you'll be able to cast an enhanced heavy attack. And another good thing is her ultimate, she can automatically refill 4 stacks when you activate her ultimate, her resonance liberation. So her whole kit, very amazing. And when you reach 4 stacks, she has a blindfold in her face, which is really cool. This is a very cool effect right here. So once you reach 4 stacks, I mentioned that you have the blindfold on, but you guys can see that her entire outfit is on fire. Like, you can see the bottom part is on fire, and it stays like that. It doesn't go away. So every single time she's like, I think 4 stacks or 1 stack, whenever she at least has a stack, a true sight stack, her aesthetic and her design just completely changes. And I will say, out of every single character in this game, her design is sick. Like, the blindfold looks really cool. Do that, and then once you activate the heavy attack, there it is, and you guys can see that her whole outfit, it changes back to normal. So that's really cool design right there. Really cool. Now, when it comes to leveling up Changli's forte, you want to start off with her resonance skill. You want to level this up because this is where most of her damage lies. And you want to level up her forte circuit, and then you want to level up her resonance liberation. You are going to use her resonance liberation a lot because it says it right here. You obtain 4 stacks of inflammement. So using her ultimate, very good. So you definitely have to level that up. She does really good damage with her ultimate. Now, when we look at her inherent skill, it says when Changli releases basic attack, true sight conquest, or basic attack true sight charge, for each stack of inflammement, Changli's fusion damage bonus is increased by 5%. So there are 4 stacks in total, so she's pretty much getting a 20% fusion damage bonus, which is really good. And then for her other inherent skill, sweeping force, says when Changli releases heavy attack, flaming sacrifice, or resonance liberation, radiance of felty, Changli's fusion damage bonus is increased by 20%, and Changli ignores 50% of the target's defense when dealing damage. So she has defense shred, which is very good. The fact that she can ignore enemies' defense allows her to do a lot of damage. And then for her outro skill, it says the incoming resonator has their fusion damage amplified by 20% and resonance liberation damage amplified by 25% for 10 seconds or until the resonator is switched out. So she definitely has some support, like sub DPS capabilities with her outro skill, very similar to Yinlin, because Yinlin, she can amplify the electro damage of her ally, and she can increase the resonance liberation. So it's literally the same exact thing as Yinlin's outro skill. Now, when we talk about weapons, the best weapon for her is going to be Blazing Brilliance. This is her main slot weapon. This is a 5-star weapon. You can literally summon for it right now. It's going to give her crit damage, which is really good. And it's also going to give her increased attack, and it's also going to give her a resonance skill damage bonus. So this is literally her best weapon in slot. Now, if you don't have this weapon, you can also use the Emerald of Genesis. This is another 5-star weapon. It is a standard 5-star weapon, and it's going to increase her crit rate. And it says increases energy regeneration by 12%, and when resonance skill is cast, increases attack by 6%, stacking up to 2 times. So you're basically getting 12% attack increase, and you're also getting energy regeneration with crit rate. So this is a really solid choice for Changli. Now, if you don't have both of those 5-star weapons, you can use the 4-star weapon, Commando of Conviction. This weapon is going to give her increased attack, which is really nice because she is a DPS unit. And another solid option would be the Lunar Cutter. This weapon is going to pretty much increase her attack. So any weapon that has attack involved would be very nice for Changli because she is a unit that pretty much scales off of attack. So giving her a weapon that increases her attack is a smart choice. Now, when it comes to Changli's Echo set, the best set for this unit is going to be Molten Rift. This set will pretty much increase her fusion damage. And then when we look at the stats, so for cost 4, you want to roll with crit rate or crit damage. For cost 3, you want to focus on fusion damage bonus. And then for cost 1, you want to focus on additional attack percentage. Now, when it comes to substats, the top substats you guys should focus on for Changli is crit rate, crit damage, attack percentage, and resonance skill damage bonus. Now, when we talk about team comps, the best team for Changli is going to be Tao Chi and Verena. Now, the reason why Tao Chi is very, very good in this team is because Tao Chi is going to increase resonance skill damage. And you guys know that Changli, she is a resonance skill damage dealing unit. So pairing her up with Tao Chi to amplify her resonance skill damage, very, very good. And of course, Verena, she's going to focus on healing the team and amplifying the team's overall damage. Now, if you want to use Changli as a sub DPS unit, you can pair her up with Encore, because when we look at Changli's passive, not passive, but outro, it says fusion damage amplification and resonance liberation damage amplification. That is very good for fusion DPS units, for example, Encore. So Encore is going to be very, very good in this team alongside with Changli. So now that we pretty much went over her kit, her build, best weapons, and etc., let's go ahead and test her potential against one of these hologram bosses. Now, this is the team that I am going to use. I'm going to use Yinlin and Verena. My Tao Chi isn't built, so I'm just going to use Yinlin as of to right now. So let's not waste any time. Let's go ahead and hop right into the showcase. All right, so after that showcase, let's go ahead and talk about her constellations. So I have good news for you guys. Changli is a unit that literally requires no copies. Like, you don't need copies on her in order for her to work. So if you are a free-to-play player, don't have to worry. She is perfectly fine at S0. But when we look at her constellations, it says for S1, resonant skill, tripartite flames, and heavy attack flame and sacrifice. Increase Changli's damage dealt by 10% and resistance to interruption. So she deals increased damage when she uses her resonant skill and heavy attack. Now for her S2, it says Inflamement increases Changli's crit rate by 25% for 8 seconds. Crit rate increase, very, very good. Now for S3, it says Resonance Liberation, Radiance of Felty damage is increased by 80%. That is cracked. Like 80%, Resonance Liberation increase, very, very good. And then for S4, it says after intro skill is cast, all team members attack is increased by 20% for 30 seconds. So you have a little bit support right there. A team, like pretty much like a team attack increase. And then for S5, it says heavy attack flaming sacrifice. Multiplier is increased by 50% and its damage dealt is increased by 50%. Now we look at her S6. Says resonant skill, tripartite flames, and heavy attack flaming sacrifice, and resonance liberation radiance of Felty ignore an additional 40% of the target's defense when dealing damage. That is insane. 40% defense shred. The fact that it says additional pretty much means that she's pretty, like, you're adding that with the 10% defense ignore. So that is literally 50% of the target's defense that she's ignoring in total. That is insane. So she's dealing insane damage when you get her S5. So that's pretty much all of her constellations. I will say none of them are required in order for her to work. She's perfectly fine at S0. But of course, if you want a lot of copies on this unit, I will say the S6 is insane. It is crazy. Like 40% defense shred, like that's nuts. But yeah, that's pretty much her constellation. So overall, Changli, this unit is absolutely amazing. She is very fun to play with. I will say that she is by far the most enjoyable unit in the game. Like every single character that I've played so far, Changli is number one. Like she is so fun. Her design, the blindfold, the fact that her clothes, catches on fire is just so cool overall. And her weapon, can we talk about her weapon, please? Like when we take a look at her weapon, we come over here to the convene. Look at this weapon, man. This looks absolutely amazing. This has to be the best weapon in the game when it comes to aesthetic and design. It looks so cool. Little eyeball in the middle right here, the flame, like it just looks absolutely amazing. So I will say Changli, by far the most fun unit in the game. Very, very enjoyable. And I am glad that she is a good unit. Her gameplay is just very, very fun overall. And I definitely recommend you guys to summon for her. But that's pretty much all I have for you guys in today's guide video. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't. I really appreciate it. And I'll be catching you guys on the next one. Peace.